Hey, the Sanderson sisters are back after 29 years. I'm pleased to talk with Hoosier native Doug Jones. He's Billy Butcherson in Hocus Pocus 2. Thanks so much for joining me this morning.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me, Trevor.
So we'll start here at the beginning. What was it like growing up in Indianapolis?
It was lovely. I cherished my time in the Midwest and Indianapolis specifically. I kind of long for it. As a kid with dreams, I was thinking California, that's where I got to go. Want to be famous. And now that I've been living out there for almost 40 years, I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to go home again. So,
So you see
yeah.
a move back to Indianapolis or just the Midwest in general?
Midwest in general, but Indianapolis is like, I still have a brother and a sister-in-law and a niece there and old friends from college. I went to Ball State University, went to Bishop Chatard High School. I mean, still in touch with lots of folks from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you always want to go into acting and prosthetic makeup and visual effects?
Acting, yes. Prosthetic makeup, I had no idea about that. When I was a young kid growing up in Indianapolis with those dreams, watching TV or watching films at the cinema, I wanted to be a goofy comedic actor. Like Jerry Lewis and Danny Kaye inspired me. On television, it was Barney Fife. I played by Don Knotts or Dick Van Dyke or Gilligan's Island. Although Gomer Pyle, the goofy guys on TV were like, that's where I belong.
Yeah.
So that's what really inspired me. When I got out to Hollywoodland in the 80s, being tall and skinny and having a background as a mime that I developed at Ball State University in a mime troupe called Mime Over Matter. So you get it. That was really, I had no idea how specific my training and my look was to prosthetic makeups and playing monsters and creatures and things. So, but the creature effects people who make the designs and glue them onto people, they knew. So,
Right.
So they saw me coming and were like, "Yes, more of you." So that was very, very sweet. And my career took a left turn that I didn't really expect. And so I sit here today with a 36-year career in showbiz, a lot of it under rubber and glue.
Yeah. So with playing all these different monsters and all these films, does Halloween have a special place in your heart?
Well, I always loved Halloween as a kid. I loved dressing up. Now I don't dress up so much for Halloween because I do it all year round.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it indeed does, especially for the last 29 years since the first Hocus Pocus movie came out. I had no idea that I was going to become a part of an annual tradition that would live on, much like The Wizard of Oz was for me when I was a kid. It would be air once a year on TV. This is before streaming, before you could have things on demand. Home video. You just watched it when it was on TV. And Hocus Pocus has become a sit-down event film for families to watch every year. And to be a part of that is like I'm a part of a Halloween tradition now, which is really, really warm and touching to me. Very few movies are that way now. So now that we got to do Hocus Pocus 2, it just like it carries the tradition on even further.
So when the first one came out in 1993, I was 2 at the time, so I wasn't able to see it in theaters. But I've done the research. It didn't break box office records. Critics weren't crazy about it, but obviously it's become this cult classic. Sorry. So
Mm-hmm.
what can that be attributed to?
Well, it is a timeless movie. If you look at it, it takes place at Halloween. So there's a lot of costuming, a lot of overblown characters, a lot of, we were not told to pull it back as actors. We were told to be as big and expressive as you want to be because it's a goofy comedy for kids. That has staying power. And I think that the fact that it had high rotation TV airings as well over the years. The entire month of October, it's all over television. And so you can channel flip and find and land on us. So that has become a part of, people's lives, and it becomes a part of your home video collection. If you collect DVDs or it's been through the VHS, the DVD, the Blu-ray, the 4K, it's been through many iterations in home collections. So I think it just becomes a part of I have heard a lot of feedback from fans saying that it's a feel good for them. It's light and fluffy. It has wholesome values and it has happy endings. I love being a part of those kind of stories anyway. And I think that has staying power. If something makes you feel good, and I hear a lot of stories of people who shared this movie with their families, and that family member is no longer with us. So they pull out that movie to have a reminiscent and a nostalgic time with their family member that's no longer here. So yeah, tons of stories. And I also now I get lots of fans who have kids of their own and bringing them up on Hocus Pocus every year too. So there's a second generation, a second wave of fandom happening. It's become multi-generational, and it is a family event. So I think that's
it's something I always watched with my family, and we loved it every year and keep watching it, especially now the sequel's out too. Tell me about more of your prosthetic roles. Like, you've done tons of films with Guillermo del Toro, Best Picture winner, Shape of Water. What was it like being the amphibian creature?
Yeah, I've played a lot of monsters and creatures on film, and getting meeting Guillermo del Toro in 1997 when we did the movie Mimic. It was his first American film, was a real blessing for me. I had no idea where that was another turn in my career, where I went from being anonymous creature guy that the creature effects people knew, but the general public did not. But Guillermo del Toro is a storyteller and a filmmaker who makes movies that bring the monster back to the forefront as a movie star, as a sympathetic character, much like the old Universal monsters from back in the black and white era. He's the guy that has a reverence for monsters and makes them a part of the story with relationship and all kinds of yummy story to chew on. So getting to play monsters for him has pushed me, catapulted, my name out there a little bit more, and given me some movie star recognition I never thought I would get otherwise. So to be on the cover of, in the poster of, an Oscar-winning movie as a fish man from South America who is now in a love affair with a cleaning lady. Who would have seen that coming? But Guillermo del Toro is the director who could make that happen. He's such a visionary and such a beautiful, brilliant storyteller.
It seems like when Guillermo del Toro has these monster movies, just based on your filmography, it's like, oh, he immediately thinks Doug Jones. What is that like?
To be in the top name in his Rolodex is really an honor when you're working with someone that brilliant. I never would have imagined I would have an association like that, like a Johnny Depp and a Tim Burton kind of a relationship. It's fantastic. So we've been on quite a ride together with a lot of successful movies, with the Hellboy 1 and 2 as his Abe Sapien, another fish guy character, which is kind of confusing for people. I played 2 as Ghost Ladies in Crimson Peak. I was, of course, the Fawn and the Pale Man in Pan's Labyrinth, another movie that gets played around Halloween time a lot too. And also, I was on a recurring character on his TV series, The Strain. So there's been just a lot.
Yeah. So back to Hocus Pocus, it seemed like a sequel was always going to be in the works. There were so many petitions, so many people, even the actors, wanting, help us get this made. What was it like to finally hear that a sequel was happening?
Right. Well, I first heard rumor of that at our 20th anniversary screening we had at the Disney Studio lot out in California. A lot of us cast members came back and did a meet and greet, a Q&A with an audience after the film. And one of our producers was there that day and said, there's a sequel in the works. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. So that was 9 years ago. So since then, lots of fan rumors have, that kind of started sparking fires, and a cigarette out the window of a car can start a forest fire. So that's what happened. But that was before we really knew what was going to be happening. There was no script yet. So finally getting a phone call from a producer saying, hey, Doug, it's happening. And all the 3 ladies have signed on. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy and Jimmy have contracts and are in place. It's like, okay, now I know it's real. So and my first thing I said was, it's about time. Mm-hmm. And the second thing I said was, yes, I'm happy to join the cast again.
And what's so great about the sequel, there are so many times people will recreate movies, let's just use the same formula that worked so well. This one's a different story. Yes, you bring the cast back, but it's different. There's a whole new meaning to it, but there's still those Easter eggs to the first one. It's just so enjoyable.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, I think the sequel does have a nice mix of new, a new adventure, new kids, new story to new objects to overcome, and then also a lot of nostalgia, a lot of throwbacks to the original movie, and seeing the Three Witches and me back, all looking really like we did 29 years ago. Especially with me covered in rubber, a layer of zombie makeup. I was like looking in the mirror saying, I don't think 2 minutes have passed in the last 29 years.
What was it like being that first day on set, being back with Bet and Sarah and Kathy?
Wow, it was very different than the first day on the first movie, because on the first movie, my career was still kind of young, and so was I. and so getting onto set was like, I'm working with these huge movie stars and a big Disney production. Oh my gosh. Now, 29 years later, it's like, oh, okay, wait, maybe I can walk in there and be one of them, because I have, a lot of life and career has happened for me in the meantime. Maybe I can be a peer. And but I got on set and nope, you know what? I'm still a slobbering fan of all three of them. And but what was different this time was the crew. These are a lot of 20 and 30 somethings that have grown up with the original movie. And when I walked onto set as Billy Butcherson, it was like, it felt like Elvis had returned. I'm like, wait, are you? Oh, they're looking at me. Oh my gosh. So I could tell that we were onto something special here.
That's so awesome. So what's next for Doug Jones?
I am currently in Toronto filming season 5 of Star Trek Discovery as my Saru character, back again for more. And also I'm a recurring guest on What We Do in the Shadows, which is also shot up here. So I'm doing a couple episodes for season 5 of their show as well.
One of my favorite shows. I literally watch it every week. It's one of the shows that I watch live. I just love the mockumentary style and the humor, the dry humor.
Yes, going to work every day and giggling all day, and getting to play Beronafanas, this overblown, again, be as big as you want, Doug, kind of character, is just a treat for me. And getting to play, I've always wanted to play vampires anyway, and getting to do one that is making fun of all of the vampire tropes and traditions is even better.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Doug. Hocus Pocus 2 is now streaming on Disney Plus.